Hey, what's up, everyone? James here. You're looking to dive into the vast world of video editing, huh? All right, cool. But I get it. It can be a bit, intimidating at first with all those complex tools and buttons that look like you need a pilot's license to operate. But don't you worry. I've got your back. Today, we're going to talk about the best video editors out there that are perfect for beginners. And trust me, you don't need to be the next Spielberg to use these. We're talking about user-friendly interfaces, intuitive controls, and just the right amount of features to get you started without overwhelming you. And remember, guys, if you're interested in any of the software we're going to discuss, you can find all the links down in the description. So yeah, make sure you check those out if something catches your eye. All right, let's jump right into it and find you the perfect video editing sidekick to bring your ideas to life. Buckle in, friends. This is going to be a fun ride. So let's talk about Adobe Premiere Elements. If you're just starting out with video editing, you're probably looking for something that's not too intimidating.
Right.
And that's where Premiere Elements really shines. So this software is like the less complex cousin of Adobe Premiere Pro, but don't let that fool you. It still packs plenty of punch for beginners. Now, one feature I really like is the guided edits. They're super helpful. It's like having a seasoned editor holding your hand through various tasks, whether you're adding transitions, mixing audio, or even creating a freeze frame effect. The guided edits walk you through step by step. So it's really hard to mess up, which is great if you're still getting your feet wet. Performance-wise, it's decent. It's not going to handle 4K or heavy effects like as smoothly as the Pro version, but for most entry-level projects, you won't have any problems. It's got a pretty straightforward interface, It's not too cluttered, which I appreciate as a beginner because sometimes too many buttons and panels can be overwhelming. Lastly, the price point is not bad. Considering you're getting like a powerful yet user-friendly piece of software, there's no subscription model here, which is a breath of fresh air, right? You pay once and it's yours with all future updates included. So if your wallet is feeling a little bit light, Adobe Premiere Elements might just be the best video editor to start your journey with. It's got the essentials. It's not too tough on beginners, and the results, pretty impressive for a starter package, I gotta say. So let's talk about Luminar Neo. When you're just starting out with editing videos, the amount of choices out there can be pretty overwhelming, right? But Luminar Neo is one of those tools that really stands out, particularly for beginners. One of the things I love about it is the intuitive interface. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. You open it up and it doesn't hit you with like a million buttons or complicated terms. So you're not feeling lost from the get-go. Now, what's cool about Neo is it's not just for photos. It has some great features for video editors too. It's got these AI tools that are super helpful for people who are just getting their feet wet. So like say you've got clip and the lighting's all off.
Yeah.
With Neo, you can use the AI enhance tool to sort that out in like just a couple of clicks, which is, a lifesaver when you're not yet that savvy with manual adjustments or you don't have hours to tweak things. But let me tell you, it's not perfect, all right? One downside for some might be the fact that it's not as feature rich as some other editing software out there, but that's actually kind of the point for beginners. It's more about easing you into the process instead of throwing everything but the kitchen sink at you. This means you can focus on, learning the basics really well, which is super important for building a strong foundation in video editing. Lastly, the pricing is pretty reasonable, especially for what you get. It's not going to break the bank, but it's also not so cheap that you're wondering where they cut corners, Overall, Luminar Neo is a solid choice if you're just starting out and want to get to grips with video editing without getting overwhelmed. It'll help you make your videos look professional without needing to be a pro yourself. And that's pretty neat, isn't it? All right, so let's talk about Corel Video Studio, which is, a pretty solid choice if you're just starting out with video editing. What's really cool about it is that it's super accessible. It doesn't assume you already know everything about timelines and cutting clips, which is great for beginners.
Mm-hmm.
The interface itself is actually quite user-friendly. When you first open it up, you're not going to be bombarded with a million buttons and tools. It's kind of laid out to ease you into the process, which is super nice. They've got this thing called the Instant Project tab that gets you started with pre-made templates. And I think, that's pretty neat for getting a feel for how editing works without getting too overwhelmed. Now, for someone who's never edited before, the learning curve can seem like this big, scary thing, right? But with Video Studio, they've got a ton of tutorials and resources built right into the program. So if you're trying to figure out how to they say add a transition or maybe how to adjust the lighting of your video, you can get help with just a couple of clicks. I've found that it's a very hands-on way to learn. The one downside, I guess, is that it isn't as powerful as some other editing software out there like Premiere Pro or Final Cut. So you might find yourself outgrowing it as you get more experienced. Honestly, for the price and the ease of use, you really can't go wrong with Video Studio as your starting point. It's kind of like, you know, learning to ride a bike with training wheels before you're off doing like BM tricks or something. All right, so let's dive into one of my top picks for beginner video editors out there. We're talking about Cyberlink Power Director. Now, the reason this software really stands out to me is because of its, you know, super intuitive interface. It's like when you open it up, everything is pretty much where you'd expect it to be, which is great for beginners who, let's be honest, can feel pretty overwhelmed with all the complicated tools and buttons you find in some other software. So, one of the things that's really cool about Power Director is the wealth of tutorial content that's available. I mean, you hop onto their website or even within the software itself, and you find all these guides and videos that can help you get started. Now, for a newbie who's just trying to figure out how to cut a clip or, you know, add some transitions, this is golden. It's like having a friend right there walking you through everything step by step, which is pretty reassuring. And let's not forget the templates and the effects guys. Power Director jams in a bunch of these, and they are super easy to apply. So you've got your standard stuff like titles and transitions, but then there are also these cool little features like the ability to create picture-in-picture effects without having to wrangle with complex settings. It essentially lets you experiment and have fun with your videos without feeling like you're in over your head. And I think that's important when you're just starting out, you know? Now, nothing is perfect, right? And Power Director is no exception. The thing is, while it's pretty robust for beginners, it might not have the depth that more advanced users are looking for as they grow their skills. But that aside, for anyone just dipping their toes into the world of video editing, wanting to make some cool content without getting swamped by the technical stuff, Cyberlink Power Director is definitely a solid choice to consider. All right, guys, that pretty much wraps up my take on the best video editors for beginners. I hope you found it helpful and maybe discovered a tool that's going to kickstart your video editing journey or just make your life a little bit easier. Now, remember, all the links to the products we talked about, they're right down there in the description. So definitely check those out if you're interested. And if you're sitting there maybe with a question popping in your head, drop it down in the comments. I love seeing what you guys think, and I'll do my best to get back to you with some answers. Or hey, maybe your question will inspire the next video. Oh, and if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Join the family. We're always exploring new software, sharing tips, and just generally nerding out about all things tech. Plus, I've got a bunch of other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. So poke around the channel. See what catches your eye. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. I appreciate you tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.